Today I'm going to be going over the bloodborne pathogen exposure control plan that we have at Maine Woods Company. This program has been written specifically for Maine Woods in compliance with OSHA regulations for bloodborne disease. The purpose of this program is to inform all potentially affected employees of the hazards concerning contact with blood or other bodily fluids. All aspects of this program are to be reviewed annually and followed daily or whenever there is an injury where there is a loss of blood or bodily fluids. It is the policy established by this program that all blood and other bodily fluids will be considered a potentially infectious material and shall be handled in accordance with the policies and procedures outlined in this program. So any employee administering first aid will be considered a first responder, although we do have designated first responders here. If somebody is injured and you take it upon yourself to help them, you'll be regarded as a first responder. So we can change our program without prior notice, but we will have to continue to train everyone if we make any changes in our program, which it's annually reviewed annually by me or whoever's doing this. So if there are any changes, you guys will know about them. This policy applies to all employees who may offer to treat an injured employee and any employee who may be exposed to blood or bodily fluids of another person. It also applies to janitorial personnel who are directly employed by Maine Woods Company or any plant affiliated with Maine Woods Company. At-risk employees would be any employee offering first aid assistance to another, employees handling contaminated tools, equipment, machines or parts, supervisory employees offering assistance or handling contaminated materials, and custodial employees. Training requirements for Maine Woods Company, we train annually and immediately upon hire. This training will include, but is not limited to, the following topics: available PPE and controls, special equipment available and uses, sign, labels, color codes, high-risk exposure areas, symptoms of exposures, disposal methods for contaminated materials, HPV vaccination availability, efficiency, and safety, modes of transmission for bloodborne pathogens, availability of written programs, post of unprotected exposures, and emergency action plans. All first responders and custodial employees shall take appropriate protective measures, including the use of PPE equipment before providing first aid or handling potentially infectious materials. We'll provide latex gloves, rubber gloves, whenever there is a potential for the hands to have direct contact with blood or bodily fluids, whether treating an injured employee or cleaning a soiled surface. These gloves may not be washed or disinfected for reuse. Lab coats, shoe coverings, gowns, head covers, and similar protective clothing shall be fluid resistant and worn whenever there's a potential for bodily fluids to be splashed or splattered onto personal clothing. These types of protective clothing must be used one time and then disposed of immediately. Masks or goggles shall be worn whenever there's potential to be splashes or splatters of blood, either in the nose, mouth, or eyes. Plastic CPR mouthpieces are located in all of our first aid kits. They are the one-way valve to be used if there is need for applying mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. All equipment, work surfaces, and floors shall be properly cleaned after contact with blood or body fluids. A suitable hospital-approved disinfectant for this purpose is a solution that contains 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. A biohazards waste container is located in the shop for the disposal of biohazardous waste, anything that's contaminated with blood or body fluids. When full, this container will be treated in accordance with directions given for disposal as non-hazardous waste. Contaminated articles such as clothing, shoes, towels, etc. can be disinfected by soaking them in a solution of 1 part chlorine bleach to 10 parts water overnight, or any hospital-approved disinfectant. The solution may then be poured down the sewer drain since it has been disinfected. Untreated, contaminated clothing, shoes, towels, etc. must be disposed in a double thick red biohazardous disposal bag or soaked in a solution of 1 part bleach, 10 parts water overnight. The different modes of transmissions of bloodborne pathogens. One is mucous membranes. Some areas of the face are also considered open areas which must be protected depending upon the situation of exposures. So eyes, nose, and mouth. The other is perinatal transmissions of bloodborne pathogens that are caused by needles or sharp instrument pricks, cuts, or open sores. If the object was contaminated with any type of infected body fluids or blood, these diseases can be transmitted in a person's bloodstream. So some of the things that you can be exposed to is hepatitis, AIDS, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV. Maine Woods Company will provide a confidential medical evaluation for employees who receive unprotected exposures to the blood or body fluids of another employee and will be counseled and offered professional treatments for the exposure. The employee has the right to accept or decline the medical treatments that are offered. Post-exposure medical evaluations shall include, but are not limited to, the following: information required by the employer, information to treating physician, information supplied to the employee. Any employee who has been exposed, unprotected exposure to the blood or body fluids of another will be counseled to the possibility of bloodborne disease transmission and be offered the HPV vaccine. Individuals who decline the vaccine against hepatitis B must sign a statement indicating their desire to decline. Before HPV vaccinations can be given, blood tests must be performed to determine if the person tests positive or negative. This vaccination is designed to be given in 3 shots over a period of 6 months. Once a series of 3 shots has been administered, the individual receiving the shots must have a blood test performed to determine if their blood contains the HPV antibodies in adults. The safety director at Maine Woods Company shall ensure that biohazard labels shall be affixed to containers of potentially infectious waste materials. The universal biohazard symbol shall be used. The label shall be fluorescent orange or orange red. Red bags or containers may be substituted for labels. However, potentially infectious waste must be disposed of in accordance with federal, state, and local regulations. Contaminated gloves, band-aids, cotton swabs, gauze, etc., stuff like that does not need to be disposed of in biohazardous waste containers and can be disposed of in the regular trash. Sharps such as pins, needles, razor blades, scalpels must be treated as biohazardous waste and should be disposed of in a sharps disposal container designed for such disposal. Contaminated articles such as clothing, shoes, towels can be disinfected by soaking them in a solution of 1 part bleach to 10 parts water overnight. Untreated, contaminated clothing, shoes, towels must be disposed of in a double thick red biohazardous disposal bag. So that is basically the overview of our bloodborne pathogen exposure plan at Maine Woods Company. If you have any questions or would like a copy of the policy, I have them in my office. Some of this is a review to the people that have been here for a while, and some people who just started may have gotten some new information from this. So if you guys have any questions, come see me or let me know. We will have a small quiz to follow up with this just to make sure that everyone kind of understood what was going on.